a question we're always asking is like, why are we still listening at this point in the song? At any given point, like, why are we still listening? Because I think, when we first write a song, we're just like so excited. It's like there's so much enthusiasm, almost like childlike, like, we have more to say, and we're saying it, and it's just like thrilling, and so we have to sort of like, I mean, really, the time and the process is important, because that does kind of have to wear off in order for us to be like, okay, we're somebody who doesn't know us, and who doesn't have like an inherent emotional connection or whatever. Why are we still listening?
Well, welcome to the Musician Secrets podcast. Today I have the amazing duo running on everything with me. I have Gabe and Lila with me. Welcome.
Woo! Hey. Great to be with you.
Yes.
I'm so excited because I'm truly a fan. I've been listening to your music, and it's so just fun and different. And I mean, it's still in the pop genre, but I love what you're doing with like the different sounds, and like they're so different. Like you have some has like a little bossa nova kind of flair. The other one's like more Latin. The other one goes more in the new one you just brought out, Fires, has more like that electro sound blend, which is so cool. So I'm mind blown. Thank you so much for putting out amazing music.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for listening to
it. That's so sweet. Yeah, our pleasure.
Yeah, I listen to. I love good music, so I'm just like, these, you're the real deal. So I'm just like, been playing it on repeat. So yeah.
I mean, we, as you said, you're a nerd, and we are also nerds. And yeah, just have a deep love for different kinds of music, and like, yeah, it's really fun to be able to share that in a way that is accessible to other people, rather than just like keeping our nerdiness kind of, insular and kept to ourselves.
No, let it all out. Let it.
Yeah. Much better to push it out.
Yeah. Especially I love the cover that you did, "God Is a Woman" by Ariana Grande on YouTube, and I mean, I've never seen anyone cover it like that. You're like playing the violin, and then like. The staccato part, and then you kind of do the whole. I was just like not expecting that, and it just made the entire song like really cool. And then your vocals fit so well. Like, wow.
Oh, that's nice.
My favorite cover of like that I've ever watched.
Oh my god.
We're gonna have to keep making music like this just for you. I mean, this is look.
Yes, keep the covers coming. Like I love them.
I should say that Gabe is I mean, there are very few jazz violinists in the world, but Gabe is definitely among the top of them. And we met as jazz musicians back in the day. And so Gabe being able to show off his chops on violin, it was really, really nice.
Yeah, it was getting a little dusty in the case, I'll be honest. Like it had been a little while. My fingers were a little jammed. But yeah, it was really nice to come back to it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mean, we don't like talk about our secret jazz past very much, but yeah, we were jazz musicians, and that's how we met. And Lila was like genuinely one of the greatest young jazz singers like in the world, and recognized as such too. Like that's not a secret. You can check that online. But yeah, and that was kind of that was like both for both of us, the direction, and then we sort of
we met when we were like 13.
Yeah, we were 13. I was 13, Lila was 14.
We were very serious at a very young age.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was great up until the point that it I think stopped feeling new. And we were sort of searching for new creative outlets. And that was how we kind of came together and started making, for both of us, a very different type of music than we'd been making before. This was a few years ago. We were in college. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of late nights and You know, both of us were depressed, anxious college students.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there was a lot of good material, a lot of stuff to write about. Yeah, and we were both just trying to figure out like what sound do we want to make now. And we've been doing that for a couple of years, trying to figure that out. And every song we come closer. That's it. And you know, it's been, I think you can hear too in our releases and stuff, like the sound is developing and changing. You know, we have what, like 4 or 5 songs out, so not even that many songs. But even within that, it's like it's been changing and growing. And I think the new stuff is going to reflect that too. Super excited to share that.
Yeah. Can't wait to hear it. Yeah. No. So let's start at the beginning. Like, what got you guys started in like your individual journeys, and then like what got you into jazz and music and songwriting, and then when did your journeys come together? I mean, obviously it was very early on, but just take me back to when it all started.
Yes. Let's see. I think I got really lucky and started playing piano when I was like 4, but my teacher didn't teach me any classical music. He like put me in front of a fake book and was like having me play standards, like, you know, Great American Songbook.
Yeah.
And so I just started singing all of that material and gigging a lot. And I think I was just addicted to the storytelling, and I was addicted to the greats like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday. That, you know, that was like my whole world. And I don't know, it made life feel real. I mean, I'm trying to be honest, but it's so hard to capture the extent to which like that was everything to me, and that was what made me who I was. But yeah, I think like when you're so deep in something at such an early age, you just I was like, I need to grow, and I need to grow up. I need to develop. And I think because I always have been a musician, I knew that part of what that would mean was that I needed to explore different kinds of music. And so when Gabe and I kind of started really like hanging out in college, and started writing together, it just, yeah, it was that thing that I needed to become who I wanted to be. But yeah, like writing music with you was so important, and I love that we just like keep making music and writing all the time. And yeah, and obviously we have our band, and
you're gonna make me cry.
I love it.
We really are best friends.
We really are best friends. She's out here pouring her heart out. I'm like literally like holding in a belch from like dinner. I'm like, this is beautiful.
Nasty.
I know. It's terrible. I'm so sorry. That's so lovely. I mean, I feel the same way. I think I also was lucky. I grew up we both grew up in Northern California. I grew up in a household that like Lila's, like really valued music and creativity. I think the way my parents thought about it was a little different. Like, I don't think they necessarily ever saw it as like a career path. It was really like, it was like an outlet. And it was, I think it you know, there's a lot of importance placed on it and on the joy that it would create. And so for me, you know, I started playing drums when I was 2 years old. And I just I couldn't stop like hitting things and singing. And I mean, I was like making like recordings on a tape player at 3. And it was like, I was really like obsessive. And I grew up listening to like I mean, my parents are boomers, so all the old stuff. And, you know, I mean, I grew up on the Beatles and James Taylor and Michael Jackson and the Bee Gees. And I mean, just like so much important, like melody driven, incredible music. You know, just some of the greatest songs ever written. So it was always kind of in my head. But I don't think I thought of myself as being someone who would make that type of music. I just wanted to make music generally. So I started playing the violin when I was 5, and that was like the jumping off point for me musically. Like I knew playing the violin was like what I wanted to do, I think, for a long time. But I was never a classical player. I really I just couldn't hack it as a classical player. It just didn't hold my interest enough for me to be disciplined about getting good at it, which was the kind of the challenge. I remember playing in orchestra as an 8-year-old, and I mean, I was trash. Like it was like pitifully bad. But
somewhere, right? No one's
yeah,
just like
yeah.
best jazz musician ever, right?
Yeah. But I was very lucky because my mom introduced me to the great jazz violinist Jean-Luc Ponty, who just became like instantly. I think I was 7 years old when she introduced, and it instantly became my idol. He's just like completely my hero in every way. And I fell in love with his entire cat. Like it's actually insane the level of obsessiveness. I can't even start because I won't stop. But yeah, so that became my life, like Jean-Luc Ponty music and wanting to play like him. So yeah, I mean, in my little town, there weren't any jazz violinists. So I had to commute to get less, whatever. That's my parent. That's the gift of my parents. But yeah, so I was playing jazz like pretty steadily through middle school into high school. And I think it was around like 14 or 15 that I began to realize, like, I think maybe music is the thing. And this coincided with like meeting Jean-Luc, and he actually like became a bit of a mentor, and I ended up playing one of his violins, and that became like my main instrument. And so it was like a very
Full
powerful,
circle.
like full circle connection experience with my musical hero. And yeah, it was interesting because that convinced me to pursue music. But it also, like, during that period, it started to become clear to me that like jazz violin maybe wasn't like quite the right road. So even though that was my whole musical background, it didn't feel like that was necessarily the future for me. So I was looking for something new basically by the time I arrived in college, and it just took me a couple years to find Lila. But yeah, I started writing songs, and I don't know, probably like, I mean, I wrote my first song when I was like 10 or 11 and was recording it then. But I was not, I'm not going to put myself out there as any kind of prodigious songwriter. I definitely wasn't. But yeah, we really started working together like 19, I guess. I was 19, you were 20 or something. And we made our first demos in London together. And like, I mean, it was like, it's a moment we both remember, like the first time that we laid down Lila's vocal on the song that we were working on together. And yeah, I mean, like literally, like we just looked at each other and we were like, oh my God, like there's something going on. Yeah, it was like very fortuitous timing. I think for both of us, like we were both right at this crossroads. And I had just barely enough skill to like, help engineer a project that sounded good, and like really on the line. But yeah, and that's where we started working together and started writing together. And I mean, it came together so quickly. I think within 2 months of that,
we'd written like 10 songs.
Yeah, we had written like 10 songs together. It was like crazy prolific, like exciting period. Yeah, and I mean, some of those songs, like Fires is one of the earlier songs we wrote. I think we wrote Fires like 5 months into our collaboration. So this would have been like, I mean, Jesus, like 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago that we wrote that song, which is insane. To think of. And the song evolved and changed, and like the production, changed over time. So it wasn't like it was all there to begin with. But yeah, I mean, that the concepts for that song were there a few years ago. And this one's for you is a couple years ago now. Yeah, like a little more than 2 years ago. That one. Yeah. So we're still kind of pulling out, like we've got a ton of new stuff, but there are some of those older songs that I think still kind of have this like really raw, like nostalgic feeling for us. So we definitely still pull those out and enjoy them.
Yeah. It's so fun because the first song I heard of you guys was This One's For You. And it's so catchy. It's so catchy. Like you said, the melody, like you said, like those like oldies, I call them oldies but goodies. They are really like, they didn't have half the engineering and plugins and stuff that we have now, but I still go back and listen to those songs because, like you said, they're melody driven and they're still relevant. They're still great songs. And that one, this one's for you. It's such a catchy hook, right? It's so good. And you know, I love the lyric. It's because it has kind of that song, and then it has like that spoken word. I can't do it, but where it says, "He said I don't like a lot of people, but I really like you," and I said, "I guess I'll fall for that because I got nothing better to do." So hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the dumbest guys.
Yeah.
I'm not a vocalist.
You got it. That's it.
But I mean, that's what you remember, right? It's the melody, and it's so catchy. Like that's what I've been like in my at work. I'm just like da 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 da. I'm like, holy cow! Like I hadn't been listening to the song at all until like for hours, and it just kind of. I mean, that's how catchy it is, and that's with all of your songs. They're so cheeky, and I love that. It's so. They're just from the lyrics point of view, they're very, very cheeky. Not rude. It's not like a rude thing, but it's just cheeky. It has that little spice, that little, and just
this is like
melodies.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that's like we love to hear that because that's so much a part of our voice and also like your voice in particular. And like it's like so important that kind of attitude, that's
I love it.
And the message too. It's like those that's what we want to be communicating.
Yeah, definitely. I think we always knew that we cared about these kinds of like cheeky social commentary, layers of meaning. So it's cool that you are turned on to that.
It's really fun, especially in the songs. It's all gonna be okay. And then Come and Go, where it has like this conversation between the two of you guys. Like I love that perspective where, because usually the song is always written from one perspective most of the time, and so it's really cool to just like listen to like what the one person is thinking and then what the other person is thinking, and when it just like comes together. I love how the entire flow really overall of all the songs. So what's the process? Who does one write the lyrics and the other one does the production and like more of the instrumental parts, or is it more of a collaboration? Like walk me through the process of the songs.
I mean, we write collaboratively, and definitely like each song kind of has a different process, but I think the way things have evolved, we write very collaboratively. Gabe is the main producer for all of our stuff now. And then we do all the vocal production and stuff together. But yeah, it's a super collaborative process. It's not like one person owns part of the process and then hands it off. And I think at the heart of that is like being able to be really honest with each other. Like Gabe will bring a concept or bring a set of lyrics, and it's like, oh, like I'm not sure, and like if we or it's like this is perfect, and like if we weren't able to be
rarely do I bring any kind of set of lyrics and Lila's like, this is perfect. Like usually it's like I would never sing that. Like it's so funny. I actually love that part of the process, even though in the moment like I like low-key hate it, but like broadly it's so good. It always just elevates, and the same goes for anything like Lila brings too. It just like always elevates the work to have because I think that's one of the things you're hearing in the kind of back and forth is like like literally it's each of us having that kind of input and I do want to be clear, like the men in these songs like are jerks. Like I'm not out here being like, no, and I gotta get my side in, like no. Like I don't want to be like Come and Go. Like I'm not,
You were uncomfortable seeing that for a sec. Oh, I'm not sure. I don't want people to think this is me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like I up until the day before we released it, basically, I was like, should we change the one of the lyrics? I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't say it on the show, but one of the lyrics in particular, I was just like, I'm not sure if I should say that, just because it's like not, it's like not me. But that's the thing is, I think and you know how this goes, but when you're trying to get a clear message across, it's like occupying characters is a really important way to like talk about a thing. And like I think that this kind of jerk guy that I play in Come and Go and It's All Gonna Be Okay is like, it's somebody that all of us know. Like we've all got somebody like that in our lives.
Like so relatable. You listen to
yeah,
this,
yeah.
like, yes, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang it.
Right. Right. And like the jerk
up.
that Lila's singing about in This One's For You and stuff, like we've all like experienced one of those guys before. So it's like, it's important that we like are able to get that message through. And so yeah, so I end up taking the hit playing those characters. But I don't mind it. It's not so bad. But yeah, in terms of process, I mean, that is, I think we have some collaborators we've worked with, and This One's For You, I co-produced with our friend Bailey, who did an amazing job on the track. And we've worked with another friend, Zach, on a few of these. And I think those collaborations have been really important and really fruitful. And I think particularly for our like growth and development as we've like kind of been building those skill sets too. Because like, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, even a year ago, for me, like production was very new. And like not necessarily like the most comfortable process. It's only quite recently. And I think honestly, like, yeah, there's so many reasons why quarantine and COVID have been truly atrocious for like so many people and so many industries. The one thing I will say for myself that it gave me an opportunity to do is really dig in on production. It's like, I mean, literally, it's like, okay, we're there's nowhere to go, so I'm just gonna sit at the computer and like work on these sonics. I mean, it's like very nerdy process, but really important to us because I think these days, like, there's like no doubt, like, oh, are we gonna be able to like make this sound the way that we're envisioning or whatever. And that used to be a challenge. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, that's cool that you're like using that time wisely, because you're never gonna get that time back, right? Because that's cool that you're using that. That's why I'm saying, like, if you can't tour, if you can't gig, at least write songs, or learn how to produce, or learn skills that you wish you would have had time to but never did. Now's your chance, right? Now the excuse of, oh, I don't have time, it doesn't work anymore. You have all the time in the world, most of us. So I mean, use that. So that's a really wise decision.
I mean, to be clear, we've also been using the time to like be depressed and stuff. I don't want to act like we're out here like all we do is grind. It's like not really like but look, we can hold both. We can hold our mental health issues and our like musical productivity. That's
Would you say music helped you to stay sane in that time space?
Yes, absolutely. Finishing songs, working on songs, writing songs, like there's nothing else that makes us feel good.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we can't, and I mean, whatever, it is what it is, but like we were planning for 2020 to be like, we're gonna go and play shows and like introduce ourselves like in physical presence way. And yeah, I mean, we had started like rehearsals for that, and laid the groundwork for putting a band together, all this stuff. And then obviously like all that fell apart. So I think, yeah, it was like particularly important for us to find other alternative outlets for feeling musically fulfilled. Obviously songwriting, but yeah, I mean, also these covers that you've been seeing, and the little videos and stuff that we've made. I think this is all just new stuff coming out of like, okay, we want to perform, we want to play for people, we want to make like live sound. How are we going to do that?
And also because we grew up as live performers.
Like
we're players. So it's really been, it's been hard not to be able to do that. So finding new ways to do that and share like liveness and performance and videos and stuff, it's been really important.
I think it just made us shift our our platform. Like instead of like you don't have a real stage like stand on and perform live. Now your platform is Instagram or YouTube live or whatever it is. Like it looks a bit different. I mean, it's not ideal, but you know, it's still at least we still have that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally true.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's totally true. I think yeah, I mean, I think both of us have experienced like a little bit of the sort of like digital exhaustion thing as well. Just like, you know, constant live. And now, you know, the early quarantine days of like every day a million people are live streaming and you know, that sort of thing. I think for good reason that's like, you know, come down a little bit. I think it can just be very overwhelming. But that's, you know, that's part of what we're trying to balance as well. Is like we want to put content out that we like love and we really want people to hear. But you know, I think just putting out content for the sake of putting out content is not necessarily like our approach. It's not a bad approach, it's just not our approach.
Mm-hmm. How would you say, because you said it was a really collaborate thing over the time span of writing all these songs. Do you think that's, you know, helps you kind of change your perspective on things, or is it, would you say it would be more challenging if you know, as a duo, or even if you're bringing in different producers? Would you say does that make it easier or harder, or a blend of both?
What do you think?
I think it's a process that requires a lot of energy and presence, and I think that there are some people who make songs where it's much more mechanical, and it's just like we're just gonna get the song and that is what and we're gonna put it down and you know, like we live in LA, like people are having like 5 sessions a day where they're just like you know putting out songs and just like you know being hyper productive in that way. And I think we are much more fine-tuned about like getting the message exactly right, getting the melodies exactly right. We're like a little, you know, it's a balance of being like perfectionistic, but also, you know, ultimately being able to put things out. And I think we found that balance now. Like with everything we put out, we feel really, really good about it. We don't put out anything that we think is less than great.
Yeah. And less than what we want to say and, you know, what we want to sound like. Yeah, it's totally true. I think that's also like that it's sort of an inherent part of like being an artist rather than you know, a songwriter or a producer. You know, working with others is it's like it takes time to like cultivate you know, to really think about like who we want to be and what we want to be sending out into the world. It's not, you know, like, yeah, we have a bunch of songs that we have written that we like that we'll never put out because they're just not like, you know, they're not quite consistent with kind of, I think that just the messages that we're trying to send and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of decision making that goes into that. We're definitely like, we're like a 1 to 2 song a week, you know, kind of thing, rather than, you know, like a bunch of songs. Yeah. And we like, you know, we like to, we're nerds again. So we like to dig in and take our time with little elements, you know, like little details in tracks, which I'm sure you can hear.
Totally. But especially if you have like certain like panning. Because I listened to a song over and over again, and I just recently noticed that I forgot what song it was. I think it was Fires, where you panned it to the left ear. I think it was just the vocal, just like a reverb kind of thing. And I was like, ooh, I like that. Like that, I did not notice like the first 5 times I listened to it. Like I love a song that you can just listen to over and over again, and you'll pick up different things. Like every time you're like, ooh, oh, this is interesting. I didn't hear that. And that's definitely what's been happening with your songs. Like every time I hear something different, and I appreciate songs like that. I'd rather have someone take their time and be like, ooh, you know, let's layer it and make it interesting and have it like change and tweak it a little bit, than just smashing them out like, you know, quality over quantity sometimes. But you know.
Yeah, well, especially now that you mentioned it, I got to shout out our mixing engineer, whose name is Sam. He goes by Shifty on Instagram, but he's like amazing. But you happen to mention like the like reverb stabs or whatever they are in Fires, and I'm like 99% sure that he had a lot to do with that, like that particular panning.
Okay. Yeah.
Man's got golden ears.
Yeah.
He's
Very special.
He's very special. I mean, I think, yeah, out of it, like everyone we worked with, like, you know, someone will go back to again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's, you know, you talk to any artist, like having a great mixing engineer, someone you really trust, you know, who can come in and be like, yeah, I love this, but like this part doesn't sound like you, or like, you know, this like needs to come out, or, you know, that like having those, because, you know, it's just us two, and we're, you know, we're like very obsessive, and once we finished working on a track, we've, you know, probably like worked on it for 100 hours, like, you know, it's ridiculous, like we listened to it so many times or whatever. So being able to have someone come in, fresh ears who we trust, you know, who can say like, you know, this, like it's got to be this, is so useful. And he's just great for that.
Yeah. What would you say makes a good song?
Good question. We probably have different.
I think we have different answers.
We have different answers to this.
Everyone has different answers. That's why I love. It's like it's the simplest but hardest question to answer, and it's different with every artist.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. I've thought about this before, so I have a little bit of an answer to this already. So for me, like, well, and okay, this is not what makes a good song. This is what makes a song that I like, I think. I don't think I don't have an answer to what, like, objectively what makes a good song.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about music, is there's so much music out there that I really like can't listen to that people love. And that's sick. That's like so cool, actually. Like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine just how many things there are that I'm like, somebody needs to change this, and there are like millions of people who love it.
Exactly.
But for me, like, what makes a song that I really like, it's the combination of something familiar. So that, you know, that can be in melody, that can be in chords, but oftentimes it's like slightly less tangible. It's like in the production, or it's in the sound, and it could even be, you know, some kind of like slightly vintage, or like a synth that, you know, you're like, where have I heard that before? You know, something like that, plus something new, something that catches you a little bit off guard, and like, you know, keeps you listening. It can't just be old familiar stuff, because then why wouldn't I just go and listen to, like, you know, the source material? But if it's just new stuff, it can be too uncomfortable. And like, this is not, you know, this is not like Lila, who I should of course let speak on this, but Lila's like in an improvisational group, and they're what's the record label?
Biophilia.
Yeah, they're on Biophilia. They released a record last year that's like, I mean, yeah, it's incredible music. But it's like, you know, for me, it can be like shocking, you know, to listen to. It's like, oh my God, what's going on here? Which is amazing. But it's like, yeah, I think that, you know, that's on the almost all new side of things. And you know, it's funny too, because they're performing some music that's like, you know, been composed. So even, you know, even that, like, it can feel like very new for me. So I like a blend of those things. Some, you know, something that feels comfortable, that I can sort of like, whew, you know, I'm a little relaxed. And it's surprises around the corner, melodically, you know, harmonically, whatever it is.
Somehow I feel like my answer is related to yours.
That's a good sign.
But
we should be in a band together.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should team up and like make some music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I would frame it in terms of like, for me, a song that is meaningful, or a song that I'm impressed by, I feel is tapping into some sort of like social consciousness about something, but it's not cliche. So for me, the newness is in like understanding that there is a feeling happening amongst a group of people. I mean, you know, being in pop music, it's often like young people all over the world, and if you can like tap into this thing that hasn't really been spoken about or explicated yet, and infuse your music with that, whether it's in the message or in the song. You know, I think right now we're seeing a lot of music come out that you know, or it's Gen Z, so it's this kind of malaise and pessimism, but done with, you know, a very like quirky and unique edge. I mean, I'm explaining it super vaguely right now, but I think we've all listened to music that kind of has that raw and young feeling to it.
Yeah.
I'm okay, thank
Are
you.
you okay?
But yeah, so for me, it's about a social consciousness, and I think one of the other things for me, and both of us being jazz musicians, you know, rhythm is so important to jazz, and like the rhythmic relations of different instruments. And so I would say that rhythm, and whether it be a kind of like harmonious set of rhythmic relations where you feel like it's a lot of like mimicking and we're kind of in the same rhythmic world, or if the relations are a bit more juxtaposed, just as long as you feel that there's some intention with the rhythm and the kind of rhythmic landscape, that's something that I really care about.
Yeah, I'm curious what your answer is.
Yes.
To this, too.
For me, it's emotion. Like if it doesn't evoke some sort of emotion, what's the point of the song? That's the only thing I judge it by. Is what is it? The lyrics? Is it the music? Is it the combination of both? Like I don't care what emotion you want to evoke. I don't care how you do it, as long as it's there. As long as it, you know, makes me think or makes me cry or makes me dance or makes me want to share it with somebody because I relate to the message, or I don't know. But for me, it's the emotion. If there's no emotion in a song, then if you don't feel it, don't play it. That's my only rule I have. If it's not doing like evoking anything, and then like emotion is like the number one thing, and then I think melody is that's what's stuck in your head, right? I even if I don't like 100% know the lyrics, I'll know the melody. Da 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 da. Like that's what hooks the person, and so because I had an amazing guitar teacher. He was a jazz music, like he's like, if you can play jazz, you can play anything else. And he was like, he just bleeds music and he loves jazz and any sorts of genre really. And he that's the question he asked me, like the first lesson we were in. He's like, what makes a good song? And I'm like, I was like going around, I'm like, oh yeah, this and that. And he's like, you know what, after like 30 or 40 years, he's been doing it for 40 years, he's like, you know what hooks me every time is good melody. And I'm like, huh. And that's what I listen for, and I kind of see those, and it does come combined with the rhythm, right? Because the melody has a certain rhythm, so it kind of brings those elements together. So, but it's different for everyone, you know. Like you said, that's a cool thing about music. Other ones like, oh, I don't care about lyrics or rhythm. I just want some cool synth or no sense of time in it, right? That's why everyone is different, but. For me, like bottom line is there an emotion? Yes, no.
I love that. My version of that, my emotional benchmark, I have two tests. Like the first is, would I listen to this on a cold night walk in the city, like by myself, you know, one where you can see your breath and you're like in your head, and you know your feelings. Or two, would I listen to this like on a drive, like sunny day on the coast, like you know, sun is just setting, I'm like driving a little too fast, you know, overlooking the ocean. Like those are the like, and I realize this is so basic kind of, but like those are my two emotional tests for music. And if the song fits into either one of those, and that's like, they're pretty broad categories. Like there's a lot of music that I would put into each of those. But if a song fits into either one of those, then we're like golden. And if it fits into both, then we're talking like and that's like I mean, I was just thinking like, oh, what song? And like the first song that popped in my mind, Self-Control, Frank Ocean. Like if I were to like pull out one song where I'm like, I could listen to that in both of those settings, and I would do so for the rest of my life, like that song. Oh my gosh. But there are definitely way more that would do that too. We have famously, we have a playlist called Songs I Love, which also it's because it's like I originally created it, but it is songs that we love collectively.
Yeah.
And like whenever we're in like one of these moments, is kind of like heightened moments, we'll just throw this playlist on. It has years and years of music, hundreds of songs that we've collected over time that we both love. And it's just like, it's a little bit soundtrack to our lives vibe. But yeah, so anyway, all that's to say, I totally connect with like, if a song can hit your emotions, it's doing the job.
Completely.
Yeah. When do you know that your song is finished? Because that's kind of what I struggle with, is like, when do you stop? Like, when do you know, okay, like now if we add anything else, it's too much, or it's going in a different direction? How do you manage the production side, especially now that you're like getting more into the production side? How do you know what instruments to add, which ones to leave out, and when to stop? When's the line you're like, okay, this is done?
Yeah, I think there are a couple questions in that. I feel like you can speak more to the like, how do we know when a song's done, and maybe I can speak more to the like, how do we know what to add?
Well, I think what I was gonna say is that the answer to that question, I feel, is changing over time. Like in the early and mid 2010s, music was super dense. Like pop music was, there were so many elements, and the full sonic spectrum was occupied all the time with really high synths and really low subs and
wall of sound synth for no reason.
Exactly.
Like,
and now there's all this popular music, and not to say that what's popular is the benchmark, but a lot of people are making music that's super hollowed out, and the sonic spectrum is like pretty empty, and we've got like one kind of medium low element, and then we've got like a high element, and then we've got the vocal, and like that's kind of it,
and like one random pluck or something.
So exactly. So I feel like Gabe and I are kind of going through this process where in the last couple of songs we've made, we'll like make a really kind of full production version, and then we'll be like, actually, like this doesn't, like this feels too full and modern right now, or sorry, and not modern. And so we're always just trying to like gauge, what are people connecting with, like do people just need more space to think and hear, and that why all this music is being created that has a lot more space. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about.
No, I think that's a great answer. I think you know when a song is done almost sort of innately. Like you can kind of feel like this song, I've listened to it 100 times, and it's, holding my interest from, second one to, whatever the very end of the song. And that is a big, I think a question we're always asking is like, why are we still listening at this point in the song? At any given point, like, why are we still listening? Because I think, when we first write a song, we're just like so excited. It's like there's so much enthusiasm, almost like childlike, like, we have more to say, and we're saying it, and it's just like thrilling, and so we have to sort of like, I mean, really, the time and the process is important, because that does kind of have to wear off in order for us to be like, okay, we're somebody who doesn't know us, and who doesn't have like an inherent emotional connection or whatever. Why are we still listening? And if we can answer that question, competently, at any point in the song, then I think we're done. But yeah, it is, and that's, you can imagine also how that mindset would lead to like maybe overfilling every now and then, and like having too many elements. I think this is something definitely we, and primarily me, like I've been guilty of. It's just like I have like so many things that I'm like, I gotta throw this in. Like, I love this random shaker, and this bell is awesome, and this like little bubble sound for no reason is sick, and like it's whatever. It's just all these ideas, and trying to figure out, okay, hold on, like in reality, if you just had one of those, it would be so much more powerful than all three. So, we got to figure, and where are we going to put that one, and how are we going to make that one sound like, the whole song was leading to that moment. And then, it's like, continuing on smoothly. And so, it's a lot of those sorts of questions. In terms of what to add, it's fairly organic. It's like things come together. I think like production elements come together pretty seamlessly. And, that's definitely, I think, yeah, I mean, it's more all the time, more with every song. The more comfortable I am as a producer, the more like ideas I can sort of rely on, I guess, to a certain extent. Yeah, it's weird. It's like over time, I feel like more and more I actually just know like what thing sort of needs to be in a place and how to make that thing. And it used to be such a mystery to me. I'd have to do so much referencing of like music we love to try to figure out like, wait, how did they like fill out the low mid without it sounding muddy, and like like all these kind of detailed questions. And now it's a lot simpler, it's a lot more straightforward, which makes it feel more organic and more us. The fact that we don't have to constantly be going and like seeking out answers in that way. It's like, yeah, we have our own answers to those questions.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good. Well, because you kind of grow into it, I think, as well. Especially if you're just doing something that's really new. It would make sense to be like, oh, okay, I kind of want to get this sound, or I want to kind of get that, but I'm not quite sure how to get there. So totally. It makes sense that you just grow into it over time.
Yeah, totally.
Born
and we still are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the great thing. It's like each new song we make has like some new touch that we're super excited about, and like something different from what we've done before. And I mean, it's like almost funny, like even with vocal production, each new song we make, I will like save the fine, like the settings,
yeah.
Exactly, the vocal chain. I'm like, oh, this is the one, like we're gonna, this is the one we'll use, and then we'll start there next song, but something will get tweaked and something different here, and what if we try, so it's constantly evolving, which is part of what keeps it exciting.
That's cool. And one last question, what's a skill that if you would go to bed tonight and you woke up next morning and you could do it perfectly, what skill would that be?
Good question.
It could be any skill, from music production to instruments to songwriting to music marketing to anything that's related. Like, this is a really wide spectrum. So
I gotta be honest with you, the first thing that occurred to me was like,
I know what you're gonna say,
mastering social media, just like, which I hate as an answer, but at the same time, it's like, especially right now, and this is like what a pandemic will do to you. It's like, it just feels like, how else, how else do we reach people? Because there's, we can't go out and like people see us playing a show. And I mean, I think it can be easy to forget that was even a thing, that like people would find you and become fans of your music because they happen to be at a show that you played. These days it's like, okay, if we're not boosting our Instagram numbers or something, and that mindset like is very frustrating, I think, to both of us.
It's just not who we really
right
are. And it's funny because like
Same.
I totally get the sense that like you're like us, you're a musician, and like you
exactly.
And it's just so tough. And I think it's especially hard for me being the like the feminine energy in the band.
Lila's the star, let's be clear. I mean, and that's good, but it is pressure,
well, it's just I need to like be this thing on social media, I need to look a certain way, I need to I need to interact in a certain way. And the reality is like I'm just a person who like likes to think about things and read and make music. Like I being an Instagram star, like I didn't know that was gonna be, or like I guess I knew it was gonna be, but it's not who I am naturally. And it's really hard to find the balance and like being able to connect with people, because I really do care about connecting with people and connecting with people who like our music. But yeah, like the more fake aspects of it, let's say, it's like it's not what I do.
Yeah, that being said, like things like this, where you reached out and just like we've had, we have some listeners who like are just like with us like all the way, which is so amazing. I mean, we don't take that for granted at all. And the fact is, like, we can interact directly with those people via social media in a way that we never would be able to otherwise. So that aspect of it really is special. I think it's like more of the kind of industry stuff
oh my God.
that really stresses both of us out. Yeah, it's just like,
it's unpleasant.
It's a cliche, but it's there, no part of that is like the reason that we started playing music, no part of that, like those like mechanical industry processes. So yeah, it's that part of it can be a little bit strug sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I hate to choose that as like the skill that I wake up with. Like,
no, like it makes sense. I mean, I would choose marketing. Like if I could do, because if I could do that perfectly, because the thing is, I didn't know that, being a musician means running a business. I had no idea. I just cared about songwriting. That was it. I didn't care about anything else. And then I'm like, oh, well, who's going to hear my music? Well, you got to learn how to market yourself. Otherwise, no one will hear it. And I'm like, crap. So like the last 2 years, I've been just like learning about marketing. And so that's why if I could pick a skill, I'd be like marketing, because everything else I love already doing, but that kind of feels like homework to me. Like you said, like social media, I can go care less about social media, but hate it or love it, we got to do it. Right? And that's why I know I can relate when you say you would want to do like the social media thing perfectly, because it's homework for you otherwise, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Lila, what are you gonna say? What would your skill be?
Well, I think, similarly, I sort of feel like all of the music related stuff is stuff that I'm not a master at it, but I already do it and I love it. And like, I know how to get better at it. Like I know how to practice piano or like things like that.
And we like getting it's fun.
It's
like,
fun. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, totally fun.
I think that one of the a skill that I would be down to just have tomorrow would be anything related to creating visual assets. So it's, in the marketing social media world, but I do a lot of the visual stuff for our band, whether that's like collaborating with visual artists or, like creative directing shoots and stuff like that. And styling for us and whatever. I do all of that stuff, but there are some like niche software things where it's like, I would love to be able to create like, 3D GIFs on Photoshop. I'd love to be, all those things. And visual representation and like creating a visual presence. It's super important. And it's something that I care about and like, kind of have an eye for, but lack some of the skills.
And yet even as Lila says that, like she is in the process of like building these skills in like such an amazing way. Like, I mean, so many of our visuals are largely attributable to a vision that Lila has. And I think like I understand it's like the mechanics of executing that vision that are kind of it's the same as production, as music production. It's like we had the vision like before I could like make the music in the computer. Like we had the vision for what it would sound like. And so, Lila has the vision for like what things will look like, and it's just the mechanics of like making that. That I mean, you're well on your way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, it is important, like for the branding is just as important. Like how you brand yourself as a musician or as a duo is very, very important. Like it's just as important as the music aspect. And if you have the vision, that's the most important thing, right? If you know where you're going, then everything kind of lines up. Then you know what your visual should look like, what your production should sound like, how you want to present yourself, how you want to look, and how you want to perform on stage. Like everything else just falls into place. So that's actually the hardest part, is to figure that out, is like, what do you want to do? What do you stand for? What's your vision? Where do you want to go? Once you have that figured out, everything is just gonna, line and will fall into place where it needs to go. So I think you figured out the hardest part already. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being on here and putting out great and awesome music. I'm a huge fan. I'm already like, woo, excited.
Our absolute pleasure. Should we do a little preview, something new?
I was just about to say that you have something special for me that I have never done on this podcast before.
Yes, we've got a little bit of new stuff, and I'll play it through my phone. But yeah, we have a song coming out with a great producer called Kinda Moderate. And the song is called "I'm Sorry." And yeah, I mean, it's new, it's fun,
It's coming out on Valentine's.
it's cute.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So let's see. Hopefully, SoundCloud works.
Well, I'm sorry. My last one fucked me over when we parted. There's all these things I didn't do he wanted. So I don't wanna hurt before we started. Yeah, if we started. And I'm sorry. The one before you left me broken hearted. If what we have is like that, I don't want it. So I don't wanna hurt before we started. Not gonna start it. Looking for ways, babe, to tell you it's complicated. Though I wanna stay, wish I do erase yesterday. Although the pictures and memories are out of my bed. By tomorrow, the sorrow is back in my head. And I wish I could figure things out. Yeah, I don't know what to do now. I guess we could try, but I doubt that it's ever working out. Because I'm sorry. The one before you left me broken hearted. If what we have is like that, I don't want it.
All right, that's our little
So
preview.
That's so cool. I already love how you go from the reverb to then the dry and then all vocal layers and then like the like that's a great hook. That from going to that more staccato thing and then the long.
Thank you.
I don't know what's happening right now. This is awesome. I can't wait for it to come out.
Us
Thank
too. Us
you.
too.
Yes.
Wow.
So good. You're so lovely.
Yeah,
We
you're
love
you're
talking
absolutely
to you.
lovely. It was great to talk to you.
Oh, for me, it's just fun. It's just fun. I just do what I love and just geek out about music and geek out
Us
with musicians that geek out with me. So for me, it's just a party.
Yes.
Love it.
So that's coming out on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, it should be or right around there. I don't want to.
We don't know the date.
Yeah, we don't have like
just around
precise date, but it should be like right.
around,
yeah.
somewhere around. So by the time this episode comes out, it should be out.
Yeah, just
Somewhere
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. Where can people find you? So now they've heard your songs, everyone's blown away. Where can they go and find your stuff? And on social media, which we apparently love.
Right. So, yeah. Hope you're not listening. Okay, Instagram.com/running on everything. Spotify, running on everything.
TikTok.
Right, TikTok. Yeah, TikTok.
We mentioned TikTok.
Yeah, check us out.
YouTube for our long form videos.
Yeah, which we need to update as soon as possible. YouTube, right. What else? I mean, we have a website, but it just has like links to our tunes.
Yeah.
I think Apple Music, whatever. Like you can find us, anywhere where music is sold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for like updates and stuff, Instagram is probably
Totally. And hit us up. We love messages. We love just like actually talking to people. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone go there. Awesome people to talk to, super chill and just great. And they know what they're doing. So yeah, just message them if you have any questions. Also, like just go and check them out. Go and listen to their music. Running on everything. Yeah, I had no problems finding on Spotify, iTunes, so I can attest to that. Plus, I'll link everything up so people will have no trouble finding you. So thank you so much for being here with me and chatting.
Thank you, Elise. It's so great to talk to you.
Thank you for listening to the Musician Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Alise Koa. I hope you got to learn something new about producing or songwriting or mental health when it comes to making music. The fears that most musicians have when making music. So everything that's behind the scenes, behind making music, you will learn it here because I am basically talking to anyone that makes music all around the world. So I have a great privilege to learn all of that and I can't wait to share it with you all. So follow this podcast if you enjoyed what you heard today and go and share it with somebody that you think could enjoy this episode as well, benefit and learn from it. And as always, there's more information at alisekoa.com/podcast. podcast. Talk to you soon. Bye.